want me to? Are all the judges ready? And the timer? Then let's begin. I am a Southerner. I come from an entirely Southern family. As a matter of fact, all of my family on my mother's side and father's side have lived in the South since the United States was nothing more than 13 small colonies. Many people have asked me to explain Southern culture, food, sayings, and behavior. Many have also asked me to teach them a Southern accent. Southern culture is rich and beautiful, but quite often it can be downright hilarious. I hope that this partially true story will give you a little glimpse into the lives of Roof Southerners, and also where I and most of my family are from, the Appalachian Mountains of North Carolina. Little Corey and Otis by Sheila K. Adams. Little Corey lived down the road from where I grew up in a huge log house that we called the Miss Frederick's house. Miss Frederick was sent here by the Presbyterians as a missionary, and my great uncle Tim Metcalf built the house for her. In its time, it was a lovely house. It was 2 stories tall and had hardwood floors. After Miss Frederick vacated, it got the reputation of being haunted. My cousin's own it now. Anyway, Little weighed about 78 pounds, sopping wet, and was about 4 feet 11 inches tall. She was also extremely nearsighted and would get up real close to you and peer into your face when she talked to you. This habit was a bit unnerving to us children, and we eventually decided that anybody that strange was probably a witchy woman. Little Corey was married to Otis, and bless his heart, he must have weighed 300 pounds if he weighed anything at all. He'd been sick all winter and was older than God's dog anyway. And up in the spring of that year, he took a turn for the worse and died. There in Salem, we had about every flavor of Baptist you could imagine. We had Missionary Baptist, Free Will Baptist, Primitive Baptist, Southern Baptist, and Plato Baptist. Now, the Baptist church Little Corey and Otis belonged to had gotten into a big row, and half the congregation split off left and formed a new church. Well, the ones who stayed decided to buy Otis a new suit to be buried in. Well, the other half, they weren't about to be outdone, so they bought him a new suit, too. Otis had never owned a single suit in his whole life, with 2 suits he buried in. So Little Corey sent Otis along with his green suit down to the funeral home, and they dressed him and fetched him home and set him up there in the living room. Now, the first person to show up that afternoon for the wake was Little Corey's sister, Clemmy. Clemmy made reference as to how his hair didn't look natural and requested to comb a brush and look at his hair. Then they stepped back to look at him some more. Well, you know, Clemmy, looking at him laying there, I believe he'd look better in his blue suit. And Clemmy agreed with her. So they commenced to changing Otis's clothes. Little Corey first tried crawling over in the coffin with him. Buttons, pulled, done. But Otis fit pretty snug in that coffin. She climbed back over the side, and they decided that the best way to get at him was to drag him out and lay him on the floor. Done, pulled, and managed to get him up on the narrow edge of the side of that coffin. And he fell on into the floor. Then they commenced changing his clothes. Little Corey first instructed Clemmy to lift his shoulders up a bit. Clemmy huffed, puffed, and managed to lift him an inch or so off the floor. Little Corey slid his suit jacket off, and Clemmy eased him back onto the floor. Then Little Corey allowed as to how she was going to have some serious help removing his trousers. Clemmy sat down facing Otis's huge tree trunk-sized legs and wiped the sweat from her brow. Well, I reckon the thing for us to do is try to ease his britches down under his hips and slide them off both legs at one time. He ain't pleased, just plain to work with, you know. Libby managed to get his pants off after much tugging and hauling at his legs. They slid the other pants up to his hips, then stood looking at it. Well, now, how do you reckon we're going to get him up over his hind end? Well, we're needing to hurry. The way them britches is bunched up around the top, so his legs going to wrinkle them things awful. And I just don't feel like earning. They wrapped Otis under one hip with their hands and grunted. Here, I managed to lift him a bit. Slide him up and under and just do it quick. Ain't trying to hold him long. Little Corey slid the pants up, and they repeated the procedure on the other side. Then they neatened him up and stepped back to Otis in his other suit. And then it was time to put Otis back in his coffin. By this time, he pretty much settled on the floor, and they couldn't budge him. Lord have mercy, little Corey, I'm gonna bust a blood vessel. Folks is affecting to set in and showing up for the wake, and he does look plumb unnatural laying there. Little Corey stood wringing her hands up to the nose. I know they'll talk. The only thing I know to do is run through to Irvin's. Irvin is my daddy. And get him to come down here and help us. Well, I reckon that's your only hope. You'd better get to moving. So little Corey started off up the hill at a pretty good clip. Now, my daddy was probably one of the biggest Yankees fans that ever lived. And a baseball game was in progress on the TV. Daddy was totally engrossed in the game. And I was sitting on the couch watching Daddy. Because sometimes it was a lot more fun to watch Daddy and listen to what he had to say than to watch the game. All of a sudden, the door to the living room flies open and hits the wall behind the door. And there stands little Corey breathing hard. Sounded like her ass was acting up, because she's wheezing bad. Irvin! Get out of the house! And help me get Otis! Can I get his coffin? Daddy turned lays back and went on. Why, where in the world is he? I thought he was dead. Irvin, you fool, he is dead. Me and Clinton got him out of this coffin and changed his clothes, and we can't lift him to put him back. Little Corey, you're worried him to death the whole time he's living, and you're still after him. Being the curious and nasty type of person he is, stood up and started for the door. I stood up too. I wasn't about to miss this. Down the road we went to little Corey's. We got there, went through the door, and there was Clinton, standing right above the top of Otis looking at him. I don't know where she thought poor old Otis was going, but she was keeping a close watch. Little Corey and Clinton tried to lift Otis, but they couldn't. They circled Otis like hawks for several minutes. They struggled, strained, but Otis didn't budge. Lord Irvin, what are we going to do? It's again time for folks to come, and there he lays. Lord, Lord, Lord. She took her face in the floor. Libby stood looking at that before it. Well, I'm going down to the store. There'll be a crowd down there watching the game. I'll get some folks to come back up here and help me. He left and was back shortly with a carload of men. With all of them helping, they managed to lift Otis up off the floor, shuffle over to the coffin, and sort of press him back down in it. Then the men folks stepped back and started talking about the ball game, and left me, little Corey, and Clemmy there at the coffin. They sort of straightened him up and patted him down even further. Then they stepped back to look at it some more. And then little Corey stepped back, looked down the length of Otis and said,